episodes that they went through. So we've got To Chew or Not to Chew. This was an episode featuring the Zebulon sisters and their famous choo-choo dance, as seen in Lower Decks. Several famous Zebulon sisters' choo-choo dance is interrupted by an assassination attempt on a dancer in witness protection. Now that's from the brief, right? Obviously. Now the rest of this I wrote down for the episode guide. Core discovers a new friend, Tim. And Tim is just this little cute rock-eating plant monster dude. And Commander Rosen gets high on koala sauce. Another Lower Decks reference. And an old colleague of Emran's turns out to be famous. It was a riot. It was really, really fun. The characters got to sort of be themselves, be in their home environment, set a baseline for normal, and it was just a bucket of laughs and a little bit of trauma for a lot of the characters, which was great. Beta Shift's first episode, Signals. This was played over 2 sessions. This is straight out of the book. The crew looks for a runabout lost in the Shackleton Expanse. What they find are ancient ruins inside of an Orion mining operation and hostile Romulans. This one, I had a lot of last-minute prep, a little bit of a freak out. So I had prepared, I'd done the process I described. You know, I took from the PDF of the Shackleton Expanse, I put it in my own document, did this and that. I'm like, yeah, that's. I mean, there's a lot left open for interpretation here. I could throw some things in here or whatever. Okay, and then I found that the living campaign page, which some of these mission briefs have mission freaking boxers, mission pantaloon, like mission snowsuits. There is a giant PDF for Signals that includes a lot more content, a lot more ideas. The whole Romulan thing is expanded like crazy. There was so much more there. Okay, so I find this hours before running the game, and I'm reading through. I print these out on, Dead Tree. I know I have a tablet, but Dead Tree, it helps. I recycle. But okay. A good first half of that first session was stuff that I wrote that I was like, hey, you guys are going to do a spacewalk, routine maintenance, because you have a new chief engineer. We really need to introduce them a bit, and we'll have our changeling doctor join you, who doesn't need a space, an EV suit they just need magnets. Hilarious. It was a lot of intro stuff that I just spun up myself. So I was like, okay, I had an extra, couple of weeks to really dive into it further, but still, oh my gosh, I wish I'd known that at the top. The other thing that was really good, though, was that I got to use the How to Be a Great GM / Off My Bridge Patreon that I, got the... I think you get the PDFs or images, and then I sent away for ordering the cards from Make Playing Cards. We got to use them, and they were awesome. I'm soon, hopefully, about to get the other half of my players to try Starship Combat. I liked it. I think that we'll explore that more. But I liked the synergy of, hey, I'm the commanding officer, we're doing this play, this attack pattern or defense pattern, we're doing it for this reason, to gain more resources, to do more attack. Okay, great, that means you do this, you do this, you do this. Aha, and everyone does their own role, and everyone sort of knows what they're doing. That is the way to do Starship Combat, is to use these cards, my goodness. And, maybe as we move on, we might move past them, or make our own patterns, attack or defense. Who knows? It's still very early days for my experience with ship combat, but I was dreading it, and did a lot of prep because of that. And it was just a simple 1 round, 2 shuttles, the Romulan shuttle, our shuttle. But I enjoyed it so far, so we'll see. Then back to the Sunday crew with the Kofuari Conundrum. Now, I showed you the prep for that, some flora, fauna, etc. I went to go grab some snacks and sodas, little spindrifts, for the game session, the day. It's a long day. And on the way there, I was like, I need to do something for this opening. I need to come up with my own parody lyrics for Gilligan's Island. Clearly. Now, they were flabbergasted, and I was very happy about that. The actual episode set them off to doing a whole bunch of tasks for survival. Go get some fish, go get some firewood. Once a day you can work on repairing the runabout, the Vistula. They immediately all split up. Now, if you know anything about extended tasks, they have progress track to make. And a bad roll can be bad. Quite bad. Now, they've simplified it considerably because of getting rid of the challenge dice in 2nd edition. But that means if you're working on a challenge where your rating is garbage, like 1 or 2 or 3, but the task has a starting resistance of 1 or 2, like you're struggling, and then, as you hit the breakthroughs, yes, things change, circumstances, the difficulty, the resistance, they go down. But, I've struggled because I really like the idea of extended tasks, and my players so far have really found them frustrating in many ways, especially 1st edition, more than 2nd edition. 1st edition, they struggled, and I was like, oh, come on, why don't you like them? But it's because they felt like they were just roll, the way I presented it in 1st edition. So giving the proper time limit. No, you have to do this. You're going to get 4 rounds before it's nightfall to complete this task or fail. Oh, okay. Now, some of the players failed, and that was frustrating for them. Absolutely. I mean, roll the dice, give them some character trauma. I hope it didn't give them real trauma. Really. Maybe a little bit, I think. And then some of them succeeded in ways they didn't expect, and that was good. I didn't plan. There's a lot of things you don't plan as a GM. You go in, you stumble, you're like, yep, I guess this is how it is. Yep, this is what's happening because of, you went off and did this, so these things had to happen to give you an interesting space to exist in when you were there. And now, you're getting chased by a bunch of boars, and now, my half Romulan intelligence officer is wearing a pirate uniform with a boar's head on there. That's just how it is now. So I wrapped that up a bit tight. We were getting quite to the end of the night. I'm like, oh man, I've been trying to, cut some things, shorten some things. All right. Overall, I thought it was decent. I liked it a lot. I thought I had fun with it. Then I wanted to do something a little bit lighter than the Signals intense. They did a lot of really fun fighting and deception. The creativity of my players especially the back half of Signals was amazing. Like, again, they like, oh yeah, I'm totally Tal Shiar, and then the changeling changes into, shoulder pads and all. Yes, I am Romulan soldier, and then they ambush. That was hilarious. That was great. So I gave them a poll. Say, hey, look, I had 4 different mission ideas that I wrote and scrapped. And I'm like, hey, what do you guys want? Something intense, something with more fighting, something more fluffy? Like, more fluffy, please. When on the Discord poll, so I was like, okay, fine, great, awesome. I'll do this mission. And I think that was a lower decks mission again. The Too Many Cooks. A mysterious illness tears through the crew while the Cassini transports an infamous chef to Narendra Station. Will Commander Brush's kid find his place in the world? Will the chief engineer solve a tense situation with a little forget the regulations drinking? Will Valessa catch a ravenous Targ run amok? So, and I don't remember, I think I must have mushed a couple ideas together for this to give some of a medical mystery tinge to the episode so that some of my players could be working on that, security and medical officer, while the other, my chief engineer ended up doing a lot of the work with the visiting chef who was preparing a meal to celebrate the end of hostilities between the Federation and Klingon Empire. on Narendra Station, right? So they're ferrying the chef. The chef is practicing and just being a menace to their whole kitchen staff. And that was great. Now, one thing that they did is like, I'm going to make a drink for them too. And like, you're going to make a drink for this like horribly grumpy, worse than televised, okay, you're an idiot sandwich, like that level of chef. Okay, sure, you make them a drink. And I rolled on this die. Now, this die came in such handy for this particular mood die. It rolled hard eyes, and so I'm like, yep, they love this drink. You're their best bud now. And that just changed things, and it was such fun. It was such fun. And my captain sort of like held things all together as this cohesive glue. I'm sometimes curious about whether or not he really wants to make hard decisions and go in certain directions. But he's the captain. Yeah, but I sort of told him his character needs to be the captain character. So, that was me 2 years ago pushing him to be the captain. But his role has typically actually been, someone who walks in with authority and pushes things in the further direction or sort of gets the recap. So he's become the glue character in a lot of these episodes, as opposed to the decision-making character, which is fine. It works out really well. And he worked really, really well here, too. I really enjoyed his role there. So they go to the station. They have the celebratory dinner. Senior staff from the station, that's Admiral Hebert and General Cargan, and, some of the people like the chief medical officer, Captain Akul, they're all there. And then the Cassini folks are there too. What did I write here? I said, Velik and Valessa participate in a Klingon bonding ritual, while Gu investigates the AMH Mark II's failure to perform on Narendra Station. So Akul suggests now this is totally from one of the Shackleton mission briefs that is supposed to take place just as or just before Klingon hostilities start. So I had to flavor this as, sometimes you do it after the fact as sort of a respect punctuation, right? Because why not? And it worked really, really well. So the captain, which, so glad he participated. You had Akul being like, your ridges seem a little bit more prominent than your ears, I think. The ridges and ears thing, half Vulcan, half Klingon, Captain Velik, just for context. Which is hilarious. It's a little bit racist. Come on, Klingons. Although the whole time they were a little bit insensitive, the speech, this. Now, I get that it was me, but it was like me trying to come up with something that these Klingons would say. They came up with some, borderline, is he terrifying or, a good guy? I don't know right now. He's a Klingon. And so Captain Velik is like, yeah, let's do this thing. Let's absolutely do this thing. I'm like, yes, heck yes. Take a charge. And you, security officer, you join me. The Denobulan security officer is, going into this big Klingon ritual. Awesome. So our heroic captain and security officer are going to Clegg's Earth Eatery in the morning for breakfast alongside Commander Gu. And Clegg's is a Americana memorabilia on the walls kind of place, red and chrome and, a flag made of baseballs and some newspaper reels and a propeller on the ceiling, that kind of place. Everything's just a little bit off. Poor Captain, he orders a black coffee. Clegg, who my players have decided, because I told them, he's just from unknown race. He's been to Earth maybe he's been to the moon. On layaway, waiting for his shuttle to another planet. They're like, yeah, his species is Clegg, and all of the people are called Clegg. Just different inflections, Clegg, and my sister Clegg, and my brother Clegg, and our cousin who went to Norway once, Clerg. These things become canon when your players decide things that are fun. But everything's a little bit off in the restaurant. All the food's just a little bit like someone who's never been to Earth, but is totally, totally obsessed with Earth. So he's like, black coffee. So he goes in the back and he grabs some coffee milk, like the stuff that you get, like very New England coffee milk, and he's dyeing it black. Poor captain. And poor captain and poor security officer, because they don't know it, as part of the Klingon ritual, about to go and have a fast for 3 days while they endure pain sticks. They hold the hot molten balls of stuff. They carry rocks from place to place. And then it all ends with this crazy one-on-one combat. Meanwhile, the medical officer, Goo, she had gotten to talking to... Now, she had a rough time at the party. She rolled poorly. She was like, hey, I know I'm a changeling, but I'm completely harmless. I've been in Starfleet forever. I'm well adjusted. Unlike Odo. Heidi, nice to meet you. And everyone's like, oh my god, a freaking changeling. Horrible. It sucks. I feel so bad. She's such a sweet soul, and it makes sense. It's fun. Commander Naria doesn't care about any of that. Commander Naria is the Klingon chief medical officer on Narendra Station. She's like, hey, how's it going? Are you also stuck with these Mark II holograms? The EMH Mark II, the Andy Dick model, the one from the episode where our EMH from Voyager, Robert Picardo, travels to the Alpha Quadrant, ends up on the Prometheus, the ship that can split into 3 coordinated attacking vessels, is taken over by Romulans. He meets the EMH Mark II, played by Andy Dick. In Too Many Cooks, during the medical mystery stuff, we were introduced to our EMH Mark II. So she's complaining, yeah, I try to integrate them in the system, and they get overloaded, and they don't work. And so, boom. I was kind of a throwaway. I was just like, yeah, they need a social win. They need someone who's going to come up and just talk with them. Boom, there we go. And I had a bunch of ideas laid out for stories that could happen while the Klingon ritual was happening. But Goo, my player, she latches on to this idea. Oh, I can totally diagnose. I also have the new upgrade that I didn't ask for, but I'll get used to them. They're working out, but let me come and see. Oh, they'll be super awesome. Thank you. Goo goes and finds the EMHs, the Mark 1s, working perfectly fine alongside the Mark 2s, who are being relegated to, triage duties, goes into the holodeck to do a whole simulation and debugging diagnosis. Awesome. All of this was just improv, back and forth between player and GM. Such fun. Turns out the Mark 2s have a bigger personality, bigger gigaquad data-wise personality in the system. They need more bioneural gel packs to run than the Mark 1s did. So, what does Goo do? Well, Goo is got friend of the Ferengi in her backstory. So she heads down to the Galleria, to the marketplace, finds a good Ferengi dealer to haggle the price of some bioneural gel packs. Now, I had them roll to see how much latinum that they would have had based on their backstory, right? Because they definitely would have gold-pressed latinum. And they rolled decently. They got more money than they needed. And then they haggled. They're like, look, I can put in a good word with the Nakish. Oh, the Nakish? You can put in a word with the Nakish? Oh, that'll be carried of 65 bars of gold-pressed latinum should do nicely. Amazing. I had so much fun playing this little Ferengi merchant guy who's just so excited for the Nakish. Is he going to come here? Oh, it'll be so swell if you come here. Ferengi are massively fun to play. They got the bioneural gel packs installed. The Mark IIs run beautifully. Awesome. Love this. So, then we get to the combination episode. Now we've got Kor, Emran, Noath, Envis meeting up with Captain Velik, Dr. Goo. And that's actually 6. For Emran's birthday party, Emran's got their transfer to the station from the ship still in flight. Velik gives... Velik is like, hey, come with me. Puts him in the brig on the station. Says, your transfer's been approved. Happy birthday. That was your birthday gift, just to get you in one place in the brig. You're their problem now. Usual party, big deal, lots of fun stuff. Presents, they open up their presents, There's one very, very, very strange present. A fish. This fish is crystalline and hard to look at, and suddenly starts to levitate, and 7 fish scales come off of the fish into each of your hands. The 7th one falls to the floor. Now, this was taken from the 9 Last Missions Lower Decks mission. Again, adjusted for my players. I gave it to them physical tokens, and I prepared 6 missions. One that each of them would have to have been present for. So, I said, this is episode 7. Well, I'm just replaying all the missions? No. This was a way to get some players to experience each other's missions. So, we start off... Oh, man. The fish demands from them to do certain things in each period of time that they bring them to. The start is easy. It is, don't wait, destroy the danger before it's realized. I sent them to the to chew or not to chew. They have to get the assassin ahead of time. This is great. Noath had already calculated a whole bunch of stuff about who and when and where all these things happen. He found it on security footage of when the people actually went in and sabotaged the transporter systems to make this heist, this getaway after the assassination possible, almost possible. And Emran had already figured out how to hijack the frequencies and the transporter signals, how to get a lock on the guy and bring him back in. That's how they solved it in the first place. He'll just do it again. Awesome. Super fun. Takes them a little bit to acclimate to the, we're in the past. We can't bump into our past selves. Oh my gosh, what do we do? That fun stuff. The second thing, I send them back to a season 1 episode that I wrote, The Blind Venetian. They're in this amphibious planet of amphibious people. It's like Venice, but half of it's underwater. There's a big Olympiad triathlon thing going on. Romulans were posing as Vulcan tourists holding their god octopus hostage inside of a giant brain coral, and they had been running a Vulcan restaurant. So they had to go and figure out how to stop those guys. I got to have some of the players who had never been part of season 1 interacting and fighting Romulans in the restaurant. That was fun. In the end, the players, brilliant as they are, transporter saves the day again. They just transport all those Romulans off the planet. I had a lot of fun with that. Then the second batch of episodes touched that which was the key to the mystery, to the save day, etc., and give thanks. Another season 1 episode, The Illness. This is on a planet, Federation colony full of Andorians and Tellarites, and everyone's falling sick here and there. It turns out that there's this overwhelming psychic presence that is causing all of the plant and animal life to stop fighting, don't fight, which is causing argumentative people to become ill, pass out, etc. This is the episode where the players were scanning the air and they rolled a complication. I was like, your tricorder reads there's cancer in the air. What? Very weird situation. So they go and they find the entity that's in a cave and they touch it, give thanks. Beautiful. I take them over to the power trap. This is from a one-shot where one of the players brought their character over from. Another mission that I wrote, it was a Cardassians kidnapping Medusans to find some Iconian artifact that was sort of this control mechanism that used psychic creatures like Medusans to enslave a population, Iconians being this warlike thing in the past. What was the key to a safe day? No, the player was a little bit upset because they figured it out right away. It was the sunglasses. One of the characters, my buddy, he came up with this character called Nicky Shades, and that character just wears sunglasses all the time. And what do you need to protect yourself against like an exposed Medusan, sunglasses. So she just needed to touch Nikki Shades' shades because he had brought enough for everyone and gave them out before that danger had happened, and it was key to them winning that mission super well. So she just needed to touch Nikki Shades' shades, which was hilarious. And it was just, oh, the mission's over. Like, what? We spent 3 seconds on my old ship. So good. And then the last one was ruin the day, change things, destroy the path, destroy your path from the past. So take them to the Kofawari conundrum. They needed to, there was a few different things they could have done. They came up with the one that I had assumed would have been most accurate, which is prevent the first contact. So they went ahead and they repaired the ship early while trying to distract and keep their past selves away from them. Poor Goo turned into a boar to try and, like the super board, try and distract people. Past Emran shot at current Goo as boar because he was full, like, wearing a boar's head at this point. Like, I had to have my player roll for your past self attacking who you don't know is your doctor. And then the last one, I take them back to Signals and I have them, they basically have to trap themselves in the mine, and then they freed the miners. And like one of the players is like, I get the other Orions to, like, I dance and I get them to dance too as a distraction, and then we ambush them. Like, it's so good. I love my players, all of them. And then I said, okay, each of you gets to keep your fish scale. You can reobserve a moment from your past. This one, the 7th scale, is a gift. And I go and I show us the past of one of the characters, Emran, the half-Romulan intelligence officer, on a past mission. So throughout this whole saga, he's had this, like, Iconian anklet thing in his leg. It clamped on. They tried to remove a lot of it. They couldn't remove all of it, so it's been on the fritz and, like, vibrating in certain moments whenever he's near ancient Iconian artifacts. I took him to the moment where he was in the Iconian workshop and it clamped onto his leg, and they got to observe it. A few rolls, a few questions and things. You know what? Of this frozen scene of Emran and this clamp and everything, you've unfrozen the anklet. And hey, one of the players during the Signals campaign, Goo and the engineer, Ruby Marty, were psychically linked. They went inside the mechanics. They tried to repair something. They connected a data stream on top of them. Complication, but a good one. They absorbed some of the language of the Tilakal, which is a sister language to Iconian. So they can, now, the doctor here can kind of read some of the things happening. This going back and reobserving, well, now they can see, hey, this thing is supposed to be a tether of some kind, and this is a workshop, and that sort of thing. Awesome. The anklet, you happen to get to move it. Of this frozen scene, that thing is moved because rolls, luck, whatever. Envis, Rosen picks it up, pockets it, and at the very end, they clamp it onto themselves out of curiosity, and it doesn't let go. Now I have 2 players with Iconian anklets on. Oh, I'm gonna have fun with this. And it turns out the man who gifted Emran this hindsight fish was one of his old backstory mentors, Captain Argent. This was a whole ordeal. Now all these players have been mixed in, get each other's stories, get each other's memories. Oh my gosh, now they have a unique token. They can tell me, hey Sam, I'm going to go reobserve that thing and find something out. And it's a one-time deal, so I'm going to make sure I have to make it count. So it's got to be a yes and from me. I'll have to make sure I do that. But awesome. I am now ready to throw them into the Assessor's Gambit. The first 3 parts even of the Tilakal Saga missions. I'm very excited. I'm a little scared. these are very much more detailed than the mission briefs, and so my prep work has taken a lot more to condense, to bold, to highlight, to prepare things. But I am quite excited where everyone is at now. I'm going to be able to get a few missions out of the Thursday group. There's a mission where it's like, hey, if you're on ship A, do this. If you're on ship B, do that. Great. My Thursday players are going to do this route. My Sunday players are going to be invited to help fill out missing roles on a ship and do this part. And we're all going to get to do saga stuff together in an interesting way that kind of commingles. That's exciting.